Theorems related to chords, arcs, central angles, and inscribed angles. Theorems on central angles, arcs, and chords. In a circle or in congruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if their corresponding central angles are congruent. Given circle D and circle E, if circle D is congruent to circle E and angle ADC is congruent to angle BDC, which is also congruent to angle FEG, then arc AC is congruent to arc BC and also congruent to arc FG. For example, angle ADC measures 45 degrees. Therefore, angle BDC and angle FEG will also be equal to 45 degrees. And since the given are central angles, the measure of the central angle is congruent to the measure of its intercepted arc. Therefore, the measure of arc AC, arc BC, and arc FG will also be equal to 45 degrees. In a circle or in congruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if their corresponding chords are congruent. Given circle D and circle E, if circle D is congruent to circle E and the line segment AB is congruent to line segment CD and congruent to line segment FG, then the arc AB is congruent to arc CD and also be congruent to arc FG. For example, the line segment AB measures 7 centimeters. So the length of the line segment CD and the line segment FG will also be equal to 7 centimeters. And let's say the arc AB measures 140 degrees. So the measure of the arc CD and arc FG will also be equal to 140 degrees. In a circle, a diameter bisects a chord and an arc with the same endpoints if and only if it is perpendicular to the chord. Given the circle Y, line segment ER is a diameter and it is perpendicular to the line segment PA. Then, the line segment PS is congruent to line segment SA, and the arc PR is congruent to arc RA. For example, the line segment PA measures 10 centimeters. Therefore, the line segment PS and also line segment SA will measure 5 centimeters. And if the arc PR measures 55 degrees, since it is congruent to arc RA, it is also equal to 55 degrees. Theorems on inscribed angles. If an angle is inscribed in a circle, then the measure of the angle equals 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc, or the measure of the intercepted arc is twice the measure of the inscribed angle. Given circle S, the inscribed angle is angle JOY and its intercepted arc is the arc JY. So the measure of angle JOY is equal to 1/2 the measure of the arc JY. And the measure of the arc JY is equal to twice the measure of the angle JOY. For example, the arc JY measures 100 degrees, so the measure of the angle JOY will be 1/2 of 100 degrees, and that is 50 degrees. If two inscribed angles of a circle or congruent circles intercept congruent arcs or the same arc, then the angles are congruent. Given circle A and circle B, angle PEC for the circle A is congruent to angle PLC since they intercept the same arc, which is arc PC. So for example, the arc PC measures 150 degrees. So the angle PEC, which is congruent to angle PLC, will be equal to 75 degrees. Given the circle B, if the arc SX is congruent to the arc WT, then the angle SIX is congruent to angle TWO. For example, the arc SX measures 30 degrees. So the arc WT will also be equal to 30 degrees and the angle SIX will be equal to 15 degrees since this is an inscribed angle. So 30 degrees divided by 2 will be equal to 15 degrees. And angle TWO will also be equal to 15 degrees. If an inscribed angle of a circle intercepts a semicircle, then the angle is a right angle. Given the circle D, angle KIN intercepts the arc KAN, which is a semicircle. And a semicircle measures exactly 180 degrees. Therefore, angle KIN will be a right angle or it measures 90 degrees. If a quadrilateral is inscribed in a circle, then its opposite angles are supplementary. Given the circle S, the measure of the angle LGC plus the measure of the angle LAC will be equal to 180 degrees. Supplementary means the measure of the sum of the angles will be equal to 180 degrees. And the same thing with the measure of the angle GLA and its opposite angle, angle GCA, will be equal to 180 degrees. For example, the angle LGC is equal to 80 degrees. Therefore, the measure of angle LAC will be equal to 100 degrees because we have 80 degrees plus 100 degrees will be equal to 180 degrees.